Digital cameras, they are really the wave of the future. They are a little pricey, especially compared to a disposable film camera. But I guess in the long run, they save you money because you don't have to pay for processing or prints. What is the deal? Luckily, lab rat James Kim is here to cut through the fog and show us some great digital cameras that aren't really very expensive at all.
No,
James, welcome.
It's not good to use the word cheap.
Cheap is wrong.
It's affordable, right.
Well, some are cheap.
Some are cheap.
Like this Argus is cheap.
Yeah, that's cheap. But
Let's talk about it. First of all, $200, is that the kind of new break price point?
I would think so. Even for the past 3 years, people have asked me for my advice on what camera they can get for their mother or themselves for under $200. And a lot of times I'm telling them you can get this great 1 megapixel camera.
Right.
Or
not a great camera.
Kind of cheesy 2 megapixel. Without a zoom, without an optical zoom.
Without an LCD in the back.
So
like
there are a lot of things that you had to give up.
Right.
And they still worked. But nowadays you can get some really decent cameras, and I'm showing off 4 of them right here.
Are these the cameras that were $500 a year ago and $1,000 3 years ago?
In terms of like the megapixels and the zooms and the overall quality and the features, I would say $300 or $400.
These were the $300 or $400 last year.
A couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago. Okay. So prices drop. I mean, as with all
yeah.
computer technology, they drop.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of bargains here actually.
All right. Let's start with the fine pics.
So this is from Fujifilm, the A210, and this is a 3.2 megapixel camera.
Is that enough megapixels?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think so. It's a nice sweet spot.
Unless you're going to do 18 by 20 blow-ups.
I mean, this can even do good 8 by 10s. Here I've got some 5 by 7s.
These are 5 by 7s.
And here's a good example of a macro shot.
Looks beautiful.
But this camera is great. It's $180. You get the 3 times optical zoom.
That's good.
It's a little bulky. That's one of the things I don't like about it. See this? It's a little bulky.
It's kind of a brick.
And the other thing about this camera is it's a little slow. Like when I start it up, it takes about 10 seconds to actually get that first shot off.
That seems to be the thing you really sacrifice with low-price cameras. Not only slow to turn on, but slow to shoot.
But the picture
images.
quality is just amazing. Here's another one right here.
I have to say, it looks really good.
So this is 3 megapixels.
So one thing you'll be sacrificing is you press the shutter. Wait a second.
I haven't really found that too much with these cameras. It's really just the saving part. And they're
slower to save it, and they're slower.
So this is a little slower, it's a little bulky, but $180, that's a great price.
I love that.
Great picture quality.
Fujifilm does good cameras.
Yes, they do.
Nikon, of course, is the king of cameras.
They do. Actually, their lower-end cameras haven't really impressed me, but this one really does. This is the 2200. Now, it's 2 megapixels, okay?
Oh, wow.
3 times optical zoom, but look how small it is. It's nice and compact. It's very easy to use. There's 15 preset modes. There's 14.5 megabytes of internal memory. You can expand that.
2 megapixels is 2 million dots of resolution. Is that too low for an 8 by 10?
You know what? In most cases, yes. But if you look at this 5 by 7 right here,
looks good on a 5 by 7.
This is probably one of the best 2 megapixel cameras I've ever seen.
So
terms of
in software or CCD quality, they figured out a way to
optics, the
make it look
lens,
good.
and of course the software.
Optics are so important. People forget that the lens is still a key element in a camera.
Exactly. Now this is going to price at $199, which is $20 more than this one, and it's 1 megapixel less. But some people might like the size and the quality. I have to say, I'm all for it.
Really looks good.
Yeah,
really looks good. Okay, now the Kodak Easy Share.
So Kodak, they were one of the first people to really come out with consumer cameras, and then they kind of disappeared for a while.
Right.
They came out with these great new cameras. They're designed for beginners.
They've abandoned film cameras. They're only going to make digital cameras.
Exactly, and I'm very impressed with this camera. It's another 3.2 megapixel camera with a 3 times optical zoom. Tons of features. It's very easy to use. They've
always had good software, I think.
Yeah, they do have good software.
Yeah.
They have all the sort of settings here, the presets up top.
Right.
They have this cool share button right here, which basically, I mean, I wouldn't use it myself, but you can earmark different photos to print or email for later. So when you actually connect to your PC, that stuff will happen kind of automatically.
So this would be a good camera for a kid or a novice, somebody who's not a computer expert? Okay.
And if you look at the photograph, here's a macro shot of a flower.
Not quite as crisp.
Not quite as crisp, but still the color quality is there.
Very good,
and a lot of people have mistaken these photos for even 3 and 4 megapixel cameras.
Isn't that interesting?
So, or good ones. So this is a good camera, $200. It's a little expensive, but I think overall this is probably the best one here.
Gateway's now in the camera business, but this looks a lot like the Sony CyberShot. Is it the same?
It's kind of the the car version of the CyberShot.
Okay.
It's not as well built. It's kind of
they just copied the body.
It feels kind of cheap like the Argus, but it has an LCD screen.
Wow.
Only, and this is a 2 megapixel camera without a optical zoom. It has like a 4 times digital zoom.
No zoom.
And I like this because the price is $129.
Wow. Now you say LCD only. What does that mean? What do you mean only?
That means there's no viewfinder, so you're going to have
you can't hold it up to your eye.
Right, which a lot of people like to do.
Right.
And it actually gives you this is actually giving you more accuracy because you're going to see exactly what you shoot. And people love LCDs to see what they shot.
Uses the battery faster, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And the picture quality compared to the Nikon, this is another 2-megapixel camera.
Even from here, I can tell it's not as good.
It's not as good, and the conditions weren't as good as that one, obviously. But I've taken many photos, and not great.
Interesting. Yeah, it's nice. It looks a little, fuzzy.
But for $129, for something this small,
this may be a good kid camera.
good camera for someone who wants to sort of show off their like bling bling product without like.
It's a second camera, not a first.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be your primary camera, probably. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Now, what about this Argus? We mentioned it a couple of times. This is what, $49?
$45.
I can't believe it.
And I put this on last minute because the quality's not great. 640 by 480. It's got
it's a VGA.
It's got a flash, but this is one of the first cameras at that price range with an LCD.
It's kind of like my camera phone.
Turn it on right here. It's kind of like camera phone, yeah.
Yeah, I mean 640 by 480.
And,
that's my camera phone.
it's responsive. As you can see, the frame rate isn't that.
Can you add memory, or is it only what it's built in?
It's only internal.
That's pretty typical of these inexpensive cameras.
Yeah, in fact, I think all of these have built-in. You can expand, but that's kind of typical. But I think at this resolution, you can get a lot of pictures on pretty small amounts of memory.
$45?
Yeah, $45. And I actually printed out a picture, and it wasn't that bad.
So, but you didn't bring it, so that means it wasn't that good either, I have to say. All right, well, that's the Argus. I mean, that's kind of interesting. It means what's happening is this is all trending down.
Exactly.
And maybe next year these will be $150 or even $100.
And you know what? This is the kind of thing that drives sort of like the printer sales.
Yeah.
All
everything.
Everything. And people can go out and spend $150 and if you, not only be able to shoot good pictures, but be able to use them pretty easily.
Can I put you on the spot? Is there one that you would pick if you had to pick one from these four?
You know what? If I had to pick one, believe it or not, I'd pick the Kodak.
Okay.
Because it just has everything. It has good picture quality.
I have to say, the quality
and
is
that's
good.
shocking for me because I was kind of down on Kodak for a while. So.
I love the in-camera software. I think it's very easy to use, so it's great for the novice. If you want to learn more about any of these products we featured today, visit our website, techtv.com/call for help. Thanks, James.